Without wasting any time, since I'm going to talk about it, here's everything known about Sandbox so far. Source 2. Sandbox is the only known third-party game that has been approved and officially licensed by Valve for development, and it's the first in its history as Source 2 is the main engine Valve only uses for their own games as of late. But with this version of Source 2, it's a modified version of the engine which utilizes most of its tools to be built into the Sandbox editor. This makes things a lot more streamlined and easier for creators, developers, and modders to go and create content for the game. While Facepunch has been working on the Source 2 engine since 2020, it's been in development on the engine for over 3 years now. Sandbox is a platform. While Sandbox takes a part of its inspiration from its predecessor Garry's mod, it's meant to be a successor to the game and also meant to be built and go beyond what Garry's mod actually is. And the way it's reaching this goal is by creating it as a platform where you can play and experience games made by the community on it. Many can see this decision as a Roblox clone, and while this is understandable to have this as an opinion, it works since not only does it make it easier for the player to be able to choose what games to play just like Garry's mod, but also with its new UX interface allows for many new and concurrent players to explore and find out what may be worth playing when on the game. Asset.party. The proprietary system called Asset.party is the name of Facepunch's own Steam workshop. Many people have wondered as to why exactly this change was made. With games like Garry's mod and more on the Steam platform, the only way you could get access to mods if you were to stay within the Steam platform itself is through the Steam workshop. From the most basic understanding about why Asset.party was created was to allow Facepunch to have full control of the content that is put onto the platform. This could be incredibly beneficial to both developers and Facepunch themselves, as it was mentioned in a blog post. With having full control of Asset.party's system, they were able to create a feature within the system that allows to show developers how many of their models, assets, maps, or add-ons that the community could be using in their games, and also to inform them with in-depth developer analytics. Not only that, but personally I feel with the full control that Facepunch does have with Asset.party, it'll probably make it a lot more easier for them to deal with content that they may not want to have on their platform if it's either malicious, inappropriate, problematic, or even downright copyrighted with its content. Engine switches and development hell. Sandbox's development has resulted in a number of engine switches. The game originally started development on the Unity engine, which Facepunch's other well-known game called Rust was also developed on. Sandbox in total has been switched between engines 3 times, once in Unity, second in Unreal Engine, and third finally where development is currently taking place on Valve's Source 2 engine. A chunk of people could see that with the amount of engine switches and more in its history of development, and while it may seem like that in some cases, most likely all it took was just to bring the development back to where it all first started, the Source engine. VR and VR Crossplay Support. There is VR support within Sandbox. Apparently, the version of the Source 2 engine that was given directly to Garry to start development on the game was a branch of Half-Life Alyx, according to the Sandbox wiki. While there is VR support on the game, Sandbox also supports VR Crossplay. Think of this like playing with non-VR users on VR chat, which is actually really cool. But this will most likely depend on what exact game you're playing that has support for both VR and non-VR players. This is a really dope feature to have within Sandbox, as many other games are either just single player or multiplayer. But to also have games that support not only VR but non-VR at the same time is a really nice feature. Sandbox's modified Source 2 tools. Sandbox's tools are taken directly from the tools available within the Source 2 engine, but they're also built into the Sandbox editor. With these tools, you'll be able to not only just work on your game, but at the same time, be able to texture, animate, create cinematics with Source Filmmaker 2, edit the models with the model editor, configure your game for uploading it to Asset.party, and more. The tools are meant to keep you within the Sandbox editor as a way to properly create a nice streamlined ecosystem for creatives who want to stay locked into creating their games and more right within the Sandbox editor. Party system. The party system within Sandbox is an absolute game changer. While you weren't exactly able to start a party within Garry's mod but just join a friend through the Steam overlay or in the server browser through the Friends tab, this system is currently in development as it allows you to create a party and invite friends through Steam so you can group up together and play games together too. Not only that, but there's even a text chat that's within the bottom left corner of the home screen where you can tab between global chat, party chat, and also lobby chat. Hopefully they do end up fixing more of the system, and we'll see more of it within the future with updates. Game discovery and rich presence. Sandbox's Discover tab is one of the many best ways to explore the games that are currently made within the community. Of course, there's a Games tab where you can search by what's new or trending or most liked. But if you want to add a bit of randomness to what you're in the mood to play or see what's most active on the platform, then you're able to do so within the Discover tab. What really makes not only the Discover tab a godsend, but also a feature that makes the entire home UI way more helpful, is its rich presence. Each game gives you information that tells you not only its name, but also how many people have played the game, liked it, are currently active, have been updated, and also your overall playtime for that specific game. This is incredibly helpful as it ties from deeply into not only in the Discover tab, but also within the Games tab as well too. Add-ons. Add-ons is the biggest feature that really amplifies your overall experience with the games you're playing, and have been a major staple in Garry's mod. Add-ons have returned within Sandbox, and a majority of games do have support for add-ons if they're enabled. So far, it seems like it's only a part of the Sandbox Gamemode that Facepunch has uploaded on the game, but there's definitely other games like Sandbox Plus and more that do support add-ons as well too. Sandbox Gamemode. The Sandbox Gamemode is also seen as another staple of Garry's mod and is also the main game mode that a ton of folks do play on the game outside of the usual TTT or Dark RP or role player on the game. With this version of Sandbox, Facepunch has been working on redefining this game mode and also implementing it over time as it's been in development. Of course, as of this video, while it's not exactly the main focus of development for Facepunch, it's been rumored that the Sandbox game mode will be remade from scratch once more again when the time comes for it. Not sure exactly what we may expect from this new version of the game mode, but hopefully it'll be worth the wait. Terry. Terry's disturbing face and characteristics are plastered everywhere within Sandbox's development, from when Garry first started with the idea of the game all the way now where you're able to customize Terry outright with a slew of options to choose from to make your own sausage character. This character has brought a ton of controversy to the game as a whole, since the decision has caused Garry to make an entire blog post talking about why the character was created, but also because of Garry's decision to remove the Half-Life Alyx assets and characters as a creative choice to not define what the game would be based off of or look like compared to its predecessor, Garry's mod, which of course is a mod of the legendary game Half-Life 2. While it hasn't been said if Terry is the main mascot of the game, Terry's presence is seen almost everywhere, and while there has been a divide between some people hating this character choice and others loving the character cause it's disturbing or to spite the other side, it seems like there's no way that it won't be leaving anytime soon. Free assets. Facepunch and Garry have mentioned the idea of allowing new developers, mappers, and creators to get their hands on not only community-made assets, but a collection of assets that are completely free for them to use in their games. Now, this doesn't mean exactly if there would be paid assets that creators can get paid for making and publishing within Sandbox, as I'm not sure exactly how this would look. But not only does this new slew of assets seem very helpful for people who want to get started, but having a collection to choose from, including Rust assets that have also been added into the game too. Monetization. Garry has mentioned the idea of how exactly Sandbox's monetization would look like within the game. Now, while there hasn't been a mention about a set price or even if the game will go into early access or free-to-play, Garry's plan and ideology for Sandbox revolves around compensating developers and creators who do make content on the game. Of course, I have a whole video right here talking about this more in depth if you're interested. In short, Garry has seen more of Fortnite's engagement payout system as an incentive to properly add monetization and go in that direction for Sandbox, as it not only seems like a sure way to pay developers and creators for the work that they put on the platform, but seems way more intuitive as the system pays out creators depending on their game and how much engagement has gotten altogether. Thus, over time, any of the profits that Sandbox has gained will be able to pay out to the game creators depending on their performance within said pool. It does seem all interesting when it's described as this is Fortnite's payout system, but we'll just have to see how exactly this will turn out once Sandbox fully releases in the future. Standalone Sandbox games. Now, this is a wild one. It was mentioned a long while back as an answer to a developer's question relating to possibly moving development of their game onto Sandbox with the end goal of releasing it as a standalone game. Garry has answered this by saying, in short, Valve seems okay with this, and while we haven't gotten anything official, they're still cool with it. Now, let me tell you why this is one of the biggest and possibly craziest things to truly make Sandbox stand out as a platform-styled game. If Valve would allow this to be possible, this makes Sandbox not only accessible as a version of the Source 2 engine that even indie developers can use to create their games, but also have an option to safely release them directly onto the Steam platform. In short, it's creating this streamlined cycle of games created by indie developers within the Source 2 engine and then either upload and release them on Sandbox, or even better, Steam as a full standalone game. New physics engine. With the new out-of-game system that's currently being implemented within Sandbox as of this video, it was also shown directly on Garry's own YouTube channel, a change to the physics engine within Sandbox. This was definitely interesting to me as there's already a physics engine within the game, but FaceBunch and Garry are taking it one step further by working on this alongside the new out-of-game system. While the new physics engine is being worked on, there's also a new scene system that is meant to be replacing the entity system that was in the Sandbox editor. And so far from what has been shown through both previews and videos, for many developers, it seems way more intuitive and incredibly straightforward.
And if I want to reference some object to be the gun, drag it right in. It's super simple. This workflow is going to become immensely easy to work with compared to what we currently have, which is insane to believe because I personally already think that Sandbox's current workflow is better than most. Really a league of its own, and now to think it's just going to get better is really comforting.
Release date? Well, it has been mentioned by Garry as a quote directly from the Sandbox Discord mentioning about the game being rumored for a 2023 release. Unfortunately, due to the recent system changes that were talked about in the last section, and also the recent statements about when exactly this new system would be implemented would possibly take over the next couple of months, we only have 3 more months left until the year is over, and it's looking more and more like Sandbox is possibly going to be a 2024 release. Overall, what do you think about all of this? If so, leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, check out this video on screen talking, funnily enough, about how people are creating their own version of Garry's Mod 2 within Sandbox. Thanks for watching.